Hi, my name is Chris and I'm an urban farmer. Today I'm going to be talking about the 3 reasons why your plants always die and how you can fix them. As a farmer, a gardener, people always come up to me and the first thing they say is, my plants always die. Chris, can you give me advice? What can I do to help resolve this issue? And there are 3 things that I realized. The first is, your plant isn't getting the environment it needs. Plants in general are living beings. They are like us people, there are different kinds of people. There are people that are very resilient, and you might see plants growing in cracks on the sidewalk without anyone watering them, fertilizing them. Plants also have adapted to different environments to tolerate stresses. For example, there are some plants that are tolerant to drought. With very little water, they are able to survive because they have built up mechanisms that prevent water loss. But for most of the plants that we commonly like to eat, your regular vegetables, your salad greens, your fruiting vegetables, So there is an acronym that is very easy for us to all remember, and it's called LAWNS. So starting with L, it is light. So light is energy. Plants are basically like solar panels, and they convert this light into food, into energy. So without light, they cannot produce this energy, so they would die. There is a spectrum of how much light plants need, but as a general rule of thumb for edible plants, the bare minimum requirement to grow healthy plants is about 4 hours of direct light, and often the higher you go, the more different types of crops you can grow. 6 to 8 hours of direct light is very suitable for things that are flowering and fruiting. Okay, so your fruit trees, your fruiting vegetables, they like a lot of sun. Anything below 4 hours, it's not that you cannot grow them at all, but plants may struggle because they do not have enough energy. They might grow at a slower pace than what you would expect, or they might also get a little bit stressed out, not grow well. Okay, the next letter of LAWNS is A, which is air. They need good airflow, they need good circulation. If it's a place that is fairly windy, plants tend to do a bit better than a place with still air, because air is also a nutrient. It helps plants to take up more water and nutrients, so air is something that it needs. Next is water. So plants require a certain amount of water, and too little water can be detrimental to some plants. Some plants that like the dry soil conditions. On the flip side, there are some plants that naturally are semi-aquatic. They can live in water, so they are okay with a lot of water. So people often don't know how much to water, and I would generally say it's important that you know the plant and what kind of water needs it requires. And then, before you're watering it, you observe the leaves of the plant. There are very clear telltale signs. If the plant is very thirsty, the leaves will be shriveled and dried up. And if it's too much water, they'll be bloated. It'll be very soggy and limp. And there might be signs that the plant is also experiencing some kind of rot. For N, that's nutrients. So plants need food, and this food comes in the form of nutrients in air, in soil. They extract the nutrients through their root systems, but ultimately they do need food. And if you deprive them of food, either through having a soil that is waterlogged, they cannot access the nutrients in this condition. So there are some things that need to be fixed on a fundamental level to resolve this. You also need to generally provide nutrients on a regular basis, providing fertilizers or different kinds of organic matter. But yeah, something has to be done on a regular basis, and most people don't do this. The last alphabet of the LAWNS acronym is S, for space. So plants need space, and if everything is very crowded, what happens is the taller plant or the bigger plant would then shade out the plant below it, or the smaller plant, and this reduces the amount of light. Remember, light is food, so the plant that is at the bottom would struggle and eventually might be weakened, and it might even die. Okay, so every plant needs their own space. Give them enough space that they require. So When we think about lawns, we also need to be aware that when we buy a plant, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is suitable for our environment. Because, for example, in the nurseries back home, in different seasons, they will import certain plants. Recently, there was Chinese New Year, so many of the citrus trees were brought in and imported, and these varieties of citrus trees do not survive or thrive in our environment. So they can maybe stay alive for a few months, but they would not be able to produce fruit. It is just too warm for them. And so when you buy these plants from the nursery, what you need to look out for is to do a little bit of homework to ensure that they are suitable for environment. And also, once you reach home or wherever you are planning to grow your plants, it's important and extremely vital that you do audit of what the environment is like, what the physical environment is like. You need to check whether all the elements of lawns are fulfilled. Do you have sufficient light where you are placing the plant? Is there enough airflow? Is there enough water, nutrients, and space? The next thing is your inputs suck. Okay, what are inputs? Inputs are anything that you use to start growing your plants. It could be seeds, it could be soil, amendments, fertilizers, and the plant itself. So when you go to a garden shop, when you buy them online, there's a lot of different types of all of these inputs. And what I've come to realize is that the quality range for these inputs vary a lot. Seeds are a big one. When you go to a garden shop and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many. Here's the thing, seeds are a ticking time bomb. The moment a plant forms its seed, it starts to deteriorate. And often the best way to store them is in a cool, dry place. Putting them in a fridge can help preserve the lifespan of your seeds. The thing is, in these nurseries, especially the ones in a hot country, the seeds are left out. They're exposed to heat, humidity, and light. All these three factors degrade the seeds very, very quickly. What you can do is try to source as directly as possible. For example, I get my seeds from a supplier and I get them direct from him. It's fresh. I ask him which are the ones that are the most viable, and he knows through experience, through selling to many customers, what works and what doesn't work. So once you build your relationship with your suppliers, whether they're seeds suppliers or plant suppliers, I think they have an incentive to help you to ensure that you succeed in your growing as well. So it becomes more than a transactional process. They have a stake in your success as well. Okay, the third reason why your plants die is the harsh truth. Okay, you lack accountability. I've often been asked by my customers, Chris, can you recommend me a plant that is very low maintenance? I don't really have time to water it. Or they might say, I don't want to learn what to do with the plants. You can just teach my helper or just write me a manual and I'll look into it. Ultimately, when you do not have the desire to want to connect with your plant consistently, things will start to go downhill. And it's a very simple rationale, right? Plants are living beings. They communicate their needs through how they look. If a plant is thirsty, the leaves will droop down, and that is a signal for you needing to provide them more water. So if you do not even have time to look at your plant, how can you communicate with them? And that's a problem that most people face. It's not because they lack the so-called green thumbs. It's because they lack the desire to want to become a green thumb. Being a green thumb is ultimately about having the knowledge of knowing what your plant needs and giving them what they need. It is, if you don't have that commitment to your plant, if you're not putting in the work, then what results are you going to expect? So that solves, I would say, 80% of the problems if you are able to have a consistent routine to care for your plants, have preventive maintenance, regularly check on them, water them, ensure that all the lawns of your plants are matched. That tends to solve most of the problems. And if you have tried all these things and your plants still die, then at the end of it, I would say maybe change your plant. If you try so hard and your plant might be a fussy plant and requires a lot more resources, or it just doesn't fit the area, find something else that fits. Don't be too hard on yourself, okay? So there you have it. These are my 3 ways of why you kill your plants and how you can solve them.